Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hope that everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. If this is your first time viewing my channel, my name is Monica. Here on this channel I do DIYs, crafting, and occasionally revamping. I hope that you have decided to subscribe to this channel and hit that thumbs up button. We will start with DIY number one. DIY number one, we have this gather sign that I purchased from Dollar Tree, some twine, and also the tray. Now first what you'll see me doing is removing that top layer where the wording is from this sign using one of the sharp razor like knives, so be careful with that if you do decide to do this particular DIY. So now that I have that off, now we're going to focus on the tray. Now what you see me doing here is just scraping this tray with a sander. The reason that I'm doing this tray is plastic and I'm going to paint it. And with this like plastic material, anytime that you're wanting to actually paint a plastic material such as this, using a paint that's not actually made for plastic, you want to scratch your material up so that that paint can adhere to it. So I'm sanding the sides down. I'm not gonna paint the actual back, all of the entire back. I'm painting the sides and the underlayment where you see the handles are at. I'm using a Valspar paint, sample paint, and the only reason that I can't tell you the name of it is that when these sample paints that they have at Lowe's, it doesn't really have the paint color on them. It just have a color swab on the top. It's more like a white tone with a hint of gray in it. Okay, so what you see me doing here is putting some twine with a tongue depressor, and this is going to act as for our hanger. I have painted around the rim of the tray and put the hanger on the back. Now what I'm going to do is paint the front side. Now once I get finished with painting the actual front side, which this took me about 2 coats of the paint, I will advise you to make certain anytime when you're painting anything and you see where it's going to take you 2 coats, make certain that your first coat is dry, then go back in and do your second coat. Okay, so here you see me using the twine. Now what I'm going to do with the twine is wrap that around my handles. Now normally what I do if I'm going to be wrapping like this, I initially glue down the first piece of the twine, make sure it's glued down really good, and then just start wrapping. And when you do this, make certain that you're wrapping it neatly to where it's not overlapping one another. Just wrap it real tightly around so that's not overlapping, and then glue down your last piece. Now as you can see here, I have done both sides of with the twine. Here I'm just gluing down the wording sign piece that we had earlier, which says gather. I'm gluing that down. Now you can stop at this point if you want to, but if you've been following me, you know that I love adding more attention to details on my projects. So I'm going to add some greenery and a flower at the bottom. Then that will complete my DIY number one. Another advice, if you do choose to do this project, I know initially I stated that I scratched the project up with the sander, but to give it a definitely secure hold, what I would do is scratch up the plastic with the sander, place a layer of Mod Podge, let that completely dry, then paint. Once your paint has completely dried, then go back over again with Mod Podge if you're wanting this to be a piece that you keep for a while. That will complete DIY number one. Okay, moving on to DIY number 2. We will be using a vase from Dollar Tree, a small bowl purchased from Dollar Tree, and 2 glass ashtrays that were purchased at Dollar General. We will be making a candle holder using these materials. As you can see here, I have E6000, and I will be using hot glue. Now, if you've been following me for some of my videos, you see that I use E6000 or either a super glue. This is the E6000 and any super glues are for a secure hold, and I use hot glue to use as a quick hold. So here you see me using the E6000 as well as the hot glue. Now I'm taking this small bowl. I have turned over one of the ashtrays, and I'm gonna place that bowl on top of it. Now once I have those two attached together, I'm gonna do the same process with my vase. I'm gonna put some E6000 around the bottom, and make sure, yes, as you can see here, I'm removing the sticker. Make sure your sticker, if it has a sticker, make sure it's removed. I'm going to put E6000 around the bottom of the vase as well as the hot glue, and I'm going to place that on top of the small bowl that I have on top of the ashtray. Now once I have attached those two together, I will then place the last ashtray on top of the top of the vase. Excuse me, sorry. Now you can choose to sit your ashtray upwards, or you can do like I'm doing. I'm going to turn my ashtray over, and here I'm applying the E6000 and the hot glue. I'm going to take my ashtray and turn it, as you can see what I'm doing here, over in that manner. Now you can choose it to turn it the other way. Now you can also choose to leave it clear like this, because I was strongly debating whether or not I wanted to paint this because it looked nice just as it is. But I'm painting this with that same Valspar paint, and I'm going to give this, I think it took me about 2 good coats of this particular paint. Now once the paint dries, as I said, you can leave it, stop at that point, but I'm going to wrap, as you can see here, the bottom where the bowl and the vase meet with the twine, and I'm also gonna wrap where the small bowl and the ashtray was glued down with the twine. I just want to cover up some of that spacing that when you're actually using this hot glue, it won't actually have your projects land as flat as you wish. So I wanted to cover up that. And I could have also, you don't have to use the twine if that's what you're trying to do, because you could use a little bit of the spackling before you actually paint and cover up those holes and then actually paint over it. But I want to add some twine just to give it a little bit more character. And you will also see that I'm going to use beads, as you can see right here, to go around this top piece of my ashtray. Now you can glue the beads on one by one, but I just find it more easier to feed a piece of twine through the beads and then just glue them on as so. And that will complete DIY number 2. Okay, moving on to DIY number 3. I will be using this sign that I have from my Easter clearance, and this was purchased at Walmart. Now I know that you probably won't have this particular sign, but this project still can be done using some Dollar Tree signs that they have. What I would advise is just taking those square signs or rectangular signs that's wide that Dollar Tree have, and then taking the top portion and scoring it off as though it was a house shape. And then, because that's all we're doing right here, is I'm going to be using this to make a house. So here, what I have done is taken my tape and outlined the edges. And the only reason that I did that is because I'm going to use another color on the outside of this. Now, as you see here, I'm using the Waverly white chalk paint. I used 2 coats of this. Normally, if this was just like a regular wooden piece, this probably would only have took me like 1 coat, but because that paper glued material was on this portion, I did 2 coats of this. Now I'm gonna get ready to paint my outer side with a grayish tone color. You can paint whatever color you want. These are just the color choices that I'm using at this particular time. Now once I have my outside painted and dried, I would then go in with my wording that I did on my Cricut machine. However, if you do not have a Cricut, you still can use the sticker letters that Dollar Tree sells as well. Now this particular, if you do have a Cricut and you're trying to do your wording, now I chose, this is not vinyl, this is actually the the adhesive shelf liner that Dollar Tree sells. It's not a permanent hold, and I chose to do this just in case I wanted to change my wording out. However, you still can make this into a permanent vinyl by going over it with Mod Podge, because it will seal it in. Now, as you all know, right here you can see that I showed you the version as leaving it just as is, but I always want to go the next step. So I added, on this next slide, you'll see that I added a slight little bow using raffia and some greenery. I do appreciate you all viewing my channel on today. I hope that you have subscribed to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. And please also hit that thumbs up button to like this video. You can also follow me on Instagram at UKNEIK.